What's up, everybody, and welcome to And Action Filmmaking Podcast. I'm Tommy DiNucci, as always, here with my co-host Mikey Messier. We apologize. Last week we had some technical difficulties. This week we put a little extra prep time in to make sure that won't happen. So we do apologize for last week, and we appreciate you sticking in with us. For those of you who hung around and listened to the show, but we're back and we're better than ever. God damn it! Despite we got a bunch of snow dumped on us here in Rhode Island. I'm surrounded by snow right now on the porch. However, Mike, I know where you are down in Florida. You probably don't have any snow, I would imagine.
No, no snow. It's a bit it's a bit chilly for around here, but I'm actually pretty happy with it. It's like, 50, 55 degrees. It says 65 degrees right now, so I'm pretty good with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that in January. But here we are. We're about halfway through the month of January. The month has already kind of rolled on. It's kind of funny, man. I don't know where you sit with this. What is the statute of limitations on Happy New Year? Because I feel as though I'm still getting a lot of Happy New Years from people. And I feel like there are people that want to milk Happy New Year all the way to fucking March. Like, I feel like they
I
just want to keep saying it.
I think the of January is up for grabs. I give people the whole month of January. There's still people around here that have blown up Santa Claus stuff on the lawn. That's big around here, like the blow up stuff where you have to
Oh,
put an
yeah.
air thing. So I don't know. I think for me, once the good time, buddy, is when the Christmas music ends. Like that can never end soon enough for me. I'm not into the Mariah Carey or the
No,
We
no,
Are We
Christmas,
Are the
dude.
World.
As soon as it's over, to me, I'm an as soon as it's fucking over. I want it dead. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to hear that shit. I know a lot of theaters will like put on Christmas Carol, their Christmas play like Beyond Christmas, and I'm like, what's the matter with y'all? So personally, I think you got a 2 week limit on Happy New Year. I think beyond 2 weeks, you're kind of pushing it because it's almost like, hey, fuck the pleasantries. All right, buddy. If you really wanted to say Happy New Year to me, like in a casual setting, you could have said it by now. It's been 2 weeks. So don't come at me with, oh, I need some shit. Happy New Year. Was just wondering if you, yeah. Anyway, enough of that, Mike. This
Sure.
week I decided to just jump into it. We don't have a lot of time. I'm getting out of town. I'll be leaving on Thursday morning. Uh, I can say it now. I'm going to Mississippi. That's all that I can reveal today. I'm heading to the great state of Mississippi. It's about as far south as I've been in a long time. I shot a movie in Alabama once, which is the next door neighbor to Mississippi, but this is going to be a whole new deal for me. Shooting in a really cool place with some really cool people. I can't wait to tell our And Action friends all about that production as things kind of move further down the road. But for now, I figured, you know what, Mike, I'm kind of getting all my ducks in a row. I'm mentally getting attenuated to directing mode. And I said, let's do an episode on just some of the essential things that I like to have with me on set while I'm making a movie. And when I say things, I'm not really necessarily talking about even production elements, although there will be some production things that I like to have with me that we talk about. I really just wanted to talk about the nuts and bolts, the things that, remember, yeah, you're a filmmaker, but you're still a person, and there are certain things that you've got to do to keep your person uh, running at its optimal pace.
So this is the stuff you put in your gimmick bag, so to speak. This is your backpack full of stuff that you would like to have with you at all times for personal reasons, professional reasons, perhaps. So yeah, let's get into it. What's in that gimmick bag, Tommy?
Well, Mike, the first thing is first. When you're directing a movie and you're on set, you're going to be on your phone a lot and not talking on the phone. Like I use my phone to frame up shots a lot. I have a program, I have an app in my phone that I use where I can actually load in all the different lenses that I have for my particular lens package. And I can actually take photos to show my director of photography in the actual size that it's going to be in a particular lens. So I'm constantly on my phone between lining up shots, between, of course, you got to have that BTS video running at all times. This is a world of content we live in, so we're making lots of videos and things like that. Uh, And also, you're just on it. You're text messaging people. You're lining things up for the next shot. You're, oh, is this you got a text from your producer constantly telling you, something about the following shoot day or the following scene. So your phone is going to be drained at an incredible pace. So what I like to do is obviously number one, it's just like you got to have that phone charger in your gimmick bag because, well, the truth is, without it, Mike, you're gonna be floundering. You're gonna be dead. You're gonna be nothing worse than having a dead phone on a movie set.
Do you ever use one of those like charger, like portable charger things where you have to charge that up for that to work, right? So you got to charge up the charger and then it's kind of like something where you don't need a wall outlet. It's I've got one floating around over here.
You know,
Sometimes they work, but a lot of times with those, Tommy, you find out that when you go to use that thing, it's not charged because you forgot to charge that too. So,
yeah, there's a little bit of a to me the portable chargers aren't my friend, and I'll tell you why. Hold on, I just got to focus my camera. See this? I
sure.
got to put my fist here, and I got
All
to
right.
pull it back, and then oh, I'm in focus again. Little focusing tricks. Um, Here's what I don't like about the portable chargers. Two things. Number one, the big thing is like what you said. Now it's one more thing that I got to go thinking about charging throughout my day. And two, I don't know if you found this, Mike, but I find that you never truly get the full charge like you do off the wall charger. Like I've had instances too, and this is the fucking worst. Uh, I'll be handed one of those. Oh, I got a charger, and they just hand you the little portable brick. You plug it in, you set it down, you walk away thinking you're going to be nice
Right.
and charged, and then you come back, and that thing is either dead or the button. Sometimes there's a little button on them that you have to press. My point is, with the portable charges, there are too many opportunities for error. Whereas
Choke points.
yeah,
Choke
choke points.
points.
That's a great way to put it. Give me a fucking wall outlet and a wall charger, and let me just plug that shit into the wall. And here's the deal, guys. For the most part, if you're working on a movie, you're almost always going to have access to power. Because even if you're shooting outside in the middle of the woods, you're going to have a light or two or three. There's going to be a generator. Something is going to be plugged in. I actually saw a cool gimmick. I visited. Glenn Ciano is directing a movie right now, and I visited set. And the production designer had a really cool gimmick, which again, it falls under the category of battery operated charging devices. But she actually had a seat, Mike, that looked like a drum. Picture like a little drum that you collapsible, it's telescoping, and you can
Right.
fold this seat out and sit on it like a little drum. And in the seat, there's actually ports where you can charge your phone. So I thought that was kind of cool. You could be charging your phone while you're sitting on your ass, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I I I inquired, and you still got to, of course, you got to plug the seat in at night and charge it up. So we like chargers that you can just plug into the wall. That's number one, Mike. That is the number one item in my gimmick bag because really, we hear it so many times like communication is key. And without communication, that's when you have breakdowns. So if my phone goes dead for 30, 40 minutes, I might miss an essential text message from an actor about a scene tomorrow or from production. So gotta have that shit juiced up.
All right. So what's next in the bag?
Well, Mike, next, this is this one's a little more production based. I like to have my shot list with me at all times, an actual hard copy, like on paper. And what I do, and we've talked a little bit about this in the past, and maybe someday we'll do a whole episode on just shot listing because, guys, directors out there, if you're not shot listing methodically in advance and you just walk into a movie thinking that you're going to just figure it out as you go, you've already lost. You've literally already, in my opinion, kind of been defeated.
Right.
Because remember, we've said it a million times on set, it's not about thinking. The thinking is done. We're just executing on set. We should have done all of our thinking in pre-production. So I got to have that shot list, but there's a little caveat here. When you make your shot list, you usually do it in script order, right? You start on page one and you go all the way to the end, and you just be doing, all right, scene one, wide shot, blah, blah, blah. Scene two, close up on this. Well, guess what? We don't shoot these movies in order. We shoot them all over the place. Everybody knows that. So what I like to do is I'll have my assistant, shout out to Mike Braga. Uh, my assistant Mike will basically take my shot list and then take the schedule and essentially make a template where I know, okay, the shot list is in order of the shooting days so that I'm not doing this. You know, this move where you're
Right.
just leafing through pages and pages because you're trying to find shit.
Yeah.
If it takes me even 30 seconds to leaf through some pages and find a shot in my shot list, if I do that 50 times a day, do the math, man. That's a lot of fucking minutes of me literally just flipping through a book looking for something. Whereas if that shit's already laid out and we know exactly what order we're shooting in, boom, I just go right to it. I know this is the day, this is the shot list. So again, keep your shot list by your side. Try not to deviate from that plan too much. And if you can, tailor make your shot list so that it's in the order of the days that you're shooting. So you ain't flipping around a bunch of fucking pages like a lunatic all the time.
Seems like that would cause you another level of anxiety uh, to have to flip through a book like that. Just one more, even if it's just a 10-second aggravation or less, just one more aggravation that could build anxiety. And that's one thing, Tommy, on film sets with actors, directors, anybody, there's anxiety that can happen just by the environment, and you're trying to get a lot of things done in a short amount of time, and different people might be coming and going or coming. The worst thing, buddy, is when people arrive late and then they have to tell you for 20 minutes why they're running late. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen that people don't think about on a film set.
Yeah, there are, and as many of those things or choke points or whatever, many of those hurdles as you can kind of eliminate just with great planning and preparation, you're going to be in good shape. So, we've got our cell phone charger, we've got our shot list. What else do you need, Mike? Well, these are very long days, and as human beings, we're going to get a little hungry, we're going to get a little tired. I think it's very important for you to figure out whatever it is that makes you run. America runs on Dunkin'. Well,
Right.
what the fuck do you run on? That's the question. You got to figure it out. For me, and again, everyone's different. I've been through this a little bit. I'll cover it briefly here. I don't like to eat a lot on movie sets for a number of reasons. The main thing is it's a known fact. Everybody knows it. You eat a big meal, what happens? Your
You get
body
tired.
starts, well, yeah, you digest, your body's doing all this digestion. Suddenly you start getting a little tired, a little sleepy. And yes, you do need your energy, right? Calories give you energy. We all know that. However, it's about the type of calories that you're taking in. So for me, I like to stay very much on a kind of a liquid diet during production, Mike. I'm drinking them protein shakes like they're going out of style. I probably drink about you know, 2 or 3 protein shakes throughout the course of a day. I'm not going to be eating much at lunch. If I see food, once in a while, if I'm at the catering, if I sometimes like I like to go by myself during lunch and kind of like hang out either in my car or if there is a room for me available, I'll hang out in my room. No offense to the crew. I'm just not a big fraternize with the crew at lunch guy. I feel as though I'm with the crew all day long uh, for 12, 13 hours, sometimes more. I want those 20, 30 minutes to myself where I can just kind of go in a room or a car or a quiet place and just kind of isolate for 20 minutes. But, at the end of lunch, I'll usually kind of stroll out into the lunchroom and see what they have. And yeah, if there's something I really like, I might pick at it. But I highly recommend staying away from heavy duty food and just, again, protein shakes, protein bars, things that are light, things that aren't going to bog you down. So I'm always stocked up with protein shakes. I'm always stocked up with. This is kind of a two-parter. Yeah, you're going to get tired. I mean, these days are long as can be. I'm literally talking like when I say 12-hour day, that's the minimum. That's just the time that you're working. We're not talking about the couple hours before in the morning when, as the director, you're going to wake up early and you're going to get ahead of everyone. If you're a guy like me, and I know a lot of other filmmakers that are like this, I like to show up. I mean, if my call time's 10 a.m., you bet your ass I'm going to be there at, you know, 8:30, 8 o'clock. Like I'm there at least an hour and a half before everybody else gets there. So I'm running on a really long day. I need my energy drinks. Some people like coffee. For me, I feel like coffee ain't enough. I don't think coffee's got the mustard that I need to kind of give me that full burst of energy. So I personally like energy drinks like I used to drink Bang all the time, but now I drink an energy drink called Prime. I'm not
Okay.
sponsored by Prime. I just find that it's a really clean energy buzz. And when I say clean energy buzz, I mean a lot of these energy drinks, they'll make you crash. You'll feel really good for like an hour,
Right.
and then you'll feel like you get whacked in the face with a floorboard. Um, Bang gives you a nice sustainable energy, and it's kind of a, it's a nice, I think it's a 12-ounce can as opposed to like the Bang energy drinks are like, I think a 16-ounce can, and the Primes are only like a 12-ounce can. So you're just drinking less volume. And guys, I don't mean to get gross, but I'm gonna for a second because we're all people, we're all humans, we have bodily functions. And the reality is, a big part of my lack of eating and trying not to drink a whole lot and the fluids and the eating, like, I don't want to have to go to the bathroom when I'm on set. I really
Yeah.
don't. Like, I want to limit my bathroom trips as much as humanly possible. Certainly don't want to be going 10-2 on a movie set. Mike, do you know the difference between a 10-1 and a 10-2?
Yeah, I think we could figure that out, Tommy. No, I get it, buddy. And look, even whatever it is, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, it can really slow you down. And not only that, but imagine if you eat something that doesn't agree with you, and suddenly, you're trying to film this movie, and your stomach's upset, and you just feel uncomfortable, and I mean, that's the type of stuff that we can joke about, but it's true. I mean, these things can slow down the process of making a film. And not only that, but if you're distracted by your stomach or whatever, how are you supposed to make the best possible movie?
Mike, that's an excellent point, and that's why, yeah, like, we didn't even think about that. Like, we've all had like, "Oh, that didn't agree with me." I ate something and now it's a little funny, and then we get the I think the kids call it the bubble guts, where you feel your belly just kind of erupting and you say to yourself, this ain't going to be good for business. And I just don't want to find myself in that position. I mean, listen, I'm not even saying that, the facilities aren't great, but the reality is a lot of times if you're on production, you're working remotely, you're dealing with porter johns, you're dealing with not so great bathrooms. You've got 100 people running around all the time. You don't have the best, most privacy. So I just try to eliminate that by putting as little in my body as humanly possible. I highly recommend everyone give that a try. Make sure you're drinking your water though, because if you don't drink water, I have done this before, guys. Particularly on Johnny and Clyde. This happened to me once on Johnny and Clyde. I was very lean. I wasn't eating a lot, and I was like training a lot too. Like I was in good shape at the time. And for whatever reason, I just didn't drink water that day. And I remember one day we were down in a basement shooting, and suddenly I stood up and I felt like I was just gonna fucking pass out, and my head started to hurt really instantly. Like this happened came on so quick, and I was like, that little voice in my head went off. I'm not a big complainer when it comes. Here's the funny thing about me, little Tommy DiNucci fact. I complain about everything in my life, everything. However, when it comes to my own physical and lack of comfort, pain, injuries, you won't hear shit from me if I had a mouthful. Like that's the old school. I played football as a kid. Rub some dirt on it and get out there. Like that was my mentality my whole life growing up. So I'll bitch about a lot of things. I'll bitch about people. I'll bitch about annoying, you know, interpersonal human connections and nonsense. But I'm
Social
never
media cues.
social media cues. I'll bitch if you try to tell me Happy New Year beyond January
Right.
15th. But if it comes to my physical discomfort, like if I'm in pain or I'm not feeling good, I ain't gonna bitch because nobody wants
You've
to
got
hear it.
you've got a
So
high pain thresh tolerance.
kind of, kind of. So like there I was, I'm like lightheaded. I feel like I'm gonna die suddenly. Like I feel like death has crawled upon me. And I'm not saying anything, and I'm like doing the checklist. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Am I gonna pass out right now? That would be really embarrassing to pass out in front of the whole crew. And then I said, oh, wait a minute. I haven't had a goddamn water all day long. I haven't had one water. Like, and this is like by the nighttime. Man, I've downed 2 bottles of water and literally like flipping a switch in like 15 minutes, I was like alive again. Like suddenly I just came to life. So you do have to make sure you drink your water. Again, you don't have to go crazy with it, but I like to make sure that I'm at least drinking like 3 bottles of water a day on set. Like you have it. Make sure you have a bottle in the morning, have a bottle at lunch, have a bottle while you're winding the day down. I'm not really a sipper guy. I don't like to sip on things. I like to just like get it all in, like in the Marine
Okay.
Corps. Like drink the whole fucking bottle, move on. So that's kind of how I like to do it. Before we move on, let's check in with everybody. We got some wonderful familiar faces here. Stephen E, what's up, brother? How you doing? Hello to you. Whew. He likes your 55 degrees down there in Florida.
I'm still
Uh,
swimming outside, Tommy. I'm still going outside to the unheated pool.
Unbelievable, you Floridians. Scott, what's up, brother? Hello, all. Hope you're doing well. We hope you're doing well too, Scott. Hello all, says Ariana. What's up, Ariana, on this snowy Tuesday? Yeah, it is snowing, man. You know, it's funny. I don't have a commute in the morning, and I know Ariana also works remotely, so it's like the snow doesn't bother us too much, does it? We don't really have to get up and battle this bullshit. So I'm just here sitting out my window looking. Oh, this is pretty. Um, Kim, what's up, Kim? Good to see you, Kim. Kim's always a supporter of the show. Ariana says Celsius is my go-to energy drink. You know, Ariana, quick 30 seconds on Celsius. I like Celsius. I think it's got a great name. It's a cool name, right? I'm gonna have a Celsius. The bottle, the can is a wonderful design. It's very hip looking. Looks like some, kind of nice artwork on it. What I like about Celsius a lot is the can itself has a little texture to it. It's got a nice feel. But for me, I just feel as though Celsius doesn't have the kick I need. It's not a bad energy drink. It's good. It's just, man, I need some serious, serious caffeine. Like I need 200 milligrams or more injected directly into my carotid artery to function. But yeah, Celsius. Hey, like I said, whatever works for you. I just
Uh,
recommend having a little energy drink.
Tommy, I'm not as a big a connoisseur as you are on these things, but I do have one that I like every once in a while. It's Monster Energy Ultra Sunrise Zero Sugar. So it's a big can. It's like it, 473 milliliters, whatever that is, but maybe 20 ounces. And
Wow.
it tastes good too. It's orange, and then like I said, it's zero sugar. I'm sure it's got all the sugar substitutes, all the non-sugar sugars, but at least there's no actual sugar in it. So that's the only one that I would put over. Um, and I've also liked those Starbucks. Like if I'm driving late at night, pull over to the gas station or the truck stop, and they have like the glass little bottles
Oh
of
yeah.
Frappuccino from like the Starbucks Frappuccinos. Those are full of sugar, and I would only have those if like I really have to stay awake, at the wheel and keep on driving. But they are loaded with sugar, but it'll keep you awake for a while.
Well, listen, I have a lot of friends who love those Starbucks drinks, and they taste pretty good too. Like if you're into that kind of thing, if you like flavors. Um, yeah, Mike. So let's just keep it down the line. Another one of the essentials that I like to have with me are, believe it or not, a couple simple tools here: a nice pen and a pack of sticky notes. You might be saying, what the fuck do you do with these sticky notes? Well, a couple movies ago, I developed a system that I've used on the last couple films that I think I'm going to keep going. It's very satisfying and it's very kind of a nice organizational tool. What I do is I take that shot list we talked about, right? And while all the crew is setting up the lights and getting ready to go, I take those shots and I write them down on these sticky notes. On average, each scene has about, we'll say, maybe 4 or 5 different setups. So when I say setup, I mean camera position, close up, camera, move the camera, wide shot, move the camera. Now it's going to be more like a slider shot, medium, whatever. So usually you got 4 or 5 camera position setups, whatever you want to call it. So I'll write those different setups down in those shots and I'll stick them right to my monitor, right below the monitor. And I know I got all my shots laid out for the scene that I'm currently in. And here comes the satisfying part. When we complete a shot, I take that fucking sticky note, I crumble it up, and I fucking throw it as far as I can. And it's so goddamn satisfying. And it's a weird way, filmmaking's not tangible usually. It's not a tangible thing. It's an art form. It's like painting a painting with all these different artists helping you hold the brush. So when you rip that shot off the fucking monitor and you crumble it up and you have an actual tangible crumbleable piece of paper in your hand and you can victoriously throw it, now we're making filmmaking tangible. We're seeing that we are progressing down the field. Sometimes it's hard to tell the progress throughout the day. Your
Right.
AD will you ask your AD like, "Are we behind right now?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're doing all right." So like by ripping the shots and tossing them, you're getting to kind of like a tangible way to measure your progress throughout the day. And it feels fucking good. And guys, I've seen my crew, like, I'm not saying I invented this, but I've never seen any other directors do it. And I got to say, the crew gets behind it. They start saying, "Oh, what shot are we on? Oh, what is this?" And they see me throw the fucking thing and they get excited. Now they're kind of like playing at home, if you will. they're in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon with you as you go on this adventure. So sticky notes, nice pen, never get you down. And here's the thing too, like I know it sounds funny, but you got to always have a pen on you because you'll be. I don't follow along every scene on the sides. Your sides are basically, if you don't know what sides are, every morning you get a set of sides, which are basically like, it's usually like a 10 to 12 page mini little packet of all the scenes you're going to shoot that day. So yeah, I'll have my sides and I'll be following along and I'll occasionally want to make a quick note. So you got to have that pen handy with you just in case.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, no, man, I was just thinking we could do a whole other episode on this subtopic, but basically the psychology as director of winning the crew over, because Tommy, you and I have both been on sets where the director has lost the crew, where the crew, and probably the cast as well, probably the cast comes first with this. They realize that the director is maybe in over their head, or the director is not jiving with the script, or there's an issue with the director and the writer, or the director and a producer, or the director and a main character. And when the crew starts coming to work, cast and crew coming to work every morning with a feeling of dread rather than a feeling of excitement, you've lost them. And your ritualistic crumpling of the sticky note, to me, that's a way of kind of getting everybody on your page, like you said, the Millennial Falcon, but getting people behind you so that people are emotionally invested in making a great movie rather than just making a movie. You know what I mean?
That's an excellent point, and that's a great show topic for down the road, like how to win over your crew, because let me tell you, I've been on productions when I get the sense of, and I've been very lucky, don't get me wrong. My whole career, I feel as though gotten a chance to work with such great people. But there have been a couple movies in particular that I can think back of being like, these people don't really like me, I don't think. And I mean everybody, but there are some sets where, the director is almost looked at as the bad guy or the
Right.
enemy, or, and a lot of that has to do with different personalities. Because, guys, it's such a weird thing. A film set's an eclectic group of, 30 to 50 people that are, we're talking about artists, we're talking about creative types, all different kind of people that you just might not jive with. And not to sound like someone's mother giving them advice, but not everyone is going to like you in this weird world. Some people just aren't going to like you, and you have to learn how to, I almost like that in a weird way. Like when I get the sense that someone doesn't like me, there's two types of people. There's the one type of person that's like, well, fuck that person. I don't like them either. I'm a sick fuck. If I find that you don't like me, I'll actually make it some kind of a game to make you like me. I'll be like, I'm going to win this motherfucker over. Just you watch. I will
Yeah.
win this motherfucker over. You might hate me on day one, but by the end of this shoot, you're gonna be like, Tommy's a little fucking weird, but I kind of like him. And that's my goal. Like when I meet, people that want to kind of put up the wall. Scott has a great question here.
I
This is
did
kind
like
of
Scott's question.
this is a fun one too. Do you have something like a lucky charm that you bring on set, maybe a film related collectible that means something to you? Well, Scott, I actually got a couple things. Everybody that knows me knows that I like my action figures. Um, so I'll almost on every movie that I have, I'll always have like a little action figure, whether it's a GI Joe, maybe a superhero, whatever. And I'll kind of like just sit him by my monitor, and he'll just be kind of sitting there. And again, it's a conversation starter, man. People come by the monitor and they see the action figure and they kind of just chuckle. They're like, "What?" Like I had Hulk Hogan on my monitor for a whole movie one time, and everybody comes over, they see the Hulkster, makes him kind of light. You see an adult man, you see a grown man with a goddamn action figure by his monitor. It's a little disarming. Maybe you're like, all right, this guy's probably not a total fucking dick if he's got toys lying around. He's probably a little bit more relaxed about things, understands that we're here making movies. We're not performing open heart surgery. It's something that we should kind of have fun with. So I always have an action figure with me on set. And here's another thing, Scott, that I've recently been doing. And I found this like so fucking therapeutic for me. The last movie, I had a baseball that I found in a garage. And it was a really nice, crisp, fresh baseball. I'm a big baseball fan. When I was a kid, I played it all the time. I was a pitcher. And you see on the mound, the pitcher often will be kind of working their
Right.
natural oils into the baseball and just working it and throwing it into their glove and throwing it into their glove. I had this baseball, Scott, and I didn't put the fucking thing down like the whole movie. This is the movie I just shot in October. and it was the perfect size to fit right in the cup holder that's on the monitor. So like when I didn't want it, I could put it in the cup holder. And when we were setting things up, and when I had like a down minute or two, I'd just take that ball, I'd throw it up in the air, I'd bounce it up against the wall. I was just playing with this baseball. And it gave me so much, like, it was such a simple thing that I could do to help curb the anxiety. They're like, man, why is this fucking setup taking so long? Grab my baseball, rub it a little bit, maybe smell the leather on it, throw it in my hand a little bit, bounce it up against the wall, and then next thing you know it, the lights are set and we're ready to go. So again, weird little thing. I think I'm going to take a baseball to Mississippi with me because I really just liked feeling the leather and working that ball. And it was, you know what it was really? It was a fucking stress ball. I mean, listen, I
Yeah.
didn't invent this. Oh, that baseball just became my stress ball. So little action figure, little baseball. I'm basically a 10-year-old boy directing a movie, essentially.
It's a good thing, Tommy, you're not a hockey fan because some people might have gotten high sticked. You know, you whack the DP, whack the lead actress. You know, like you people, you know, you start giving shoulder smashes into the boards. But no, that's cool, man. Look, whatever gets you through, and I think the baseball thing is productive. You probably burned some calories, and uh, you know, like you said, it's the action figure thing. Going back to that, it's kind of like a save the cat thing in a screenplay, where if you want to make your protagonist look like a good guy, and he's not a great guy at first, you have him save a cat from a tree or some other act of goodness to win over the audience. And with your action figure, it's a conversation starter, it's an icebreaker. And it kind of like you said, it's like, hey, we're not laying bricks here for 12 hours. We're not in the chain gang. We're doing something that, although productive and stressful, is supposed to be fun and creative as well.
Yeah, and that's why I like to personalize it, man. You know, as a director, you're making this film, you should put a little of your own personality, not only in the screen, but into the production. You know, like I want people to buy into my philosophies as an artist. And part of my philosophies, I've said it all around. That's why if I turn this camera over to the left, you'd see a whole shelf full of action figures. Those action figures make me feel creative. They remind me of a simpler time in my life when things were all about just playing and being happy and positive. So when I'm being creative, it's kind of funny. I had this conversation with one of my writing partners. Like, I can't be around assholes if I'm trying to be creative. It crushes my spirits. It makes me not want to play. You know, when I'm being creative and making a film, it's the same thing. Like I'm a little kid, I'm that same little 8-year-old Tommy in the backyard playing with his action figures. And if you're a jerk, I don't want to play action figures with you. Like I'm not going to be able to fully be my creative, fun 8-year-old child. Let's play with my toys self if you're a fucking dickhead. So I think when you project these things out there, it's kind of funny. Back to the action figures, you know, some of the kind of stiffer people that I had never seen smile for, guy I maybe work with for a year. I had never seen the human being smile. They walk by my monitor, they see Hulk Hogan sitting down on the monitor, suddenly they smile and they go, "Oh my god, I had this action figure." And like you see that child in them, and this guy who might be carrying a bunch of weight through the world, and he's kind of a little grouchy guy now. Hey, when he sees that Hulk Hogan action figure, it suddenly brings him back to that 8-year-old light that he once had in him before the grouchiness took over. So I do think toys, action figures, they have an ability to kind of spark something inside. So yeah, find what you love, incorporate it into your art, even if it doesn't. Hulk Hogan was never on the screen; he didn't get a close up, but he was still part of my filmmaking process in a way because he was there. It's almost like have a mascot of sorts. So
Totem
yeah,
is what I think the term is totem, which is like the indigenous people have for like a doll, which has some spiritual value and worth to it. So that's interesting. You should give a shout out here to Charlie from the UK because if you go down a few comments, he has a nice.
well, let's see, Charlie. What's up, Charlie? Good to see you, brother. He says, I always take my wife on set. It always works. Hey, that's smart because if your wife is with you on set, she won't think you're doing anything sketchy, right? That's
I thought I'd
yeah,
try to help
there you
Charlie out tonight. Try to help Charlie in the UK with his wife. So there you go, Charlie.
Well, we appreciate that, Charlie. Yeah, listen, I I have not. I've had significant others visit me on set before. Sure, that can definitely be a nice kind of vote of confidence for you. You know, it's definitely nice to be around people that make you feel good. You know, that's what we want, right? Scott says, "I had a feeling it would be an action figure." As a fellow collector, I love that. Scott, you and I are one and the same, brother. I love those guys. They just make me feel good. What kind of action figures do you collect, Scott? That's what I want to know. Okay, so Scott, Charlie's always taking his wife, Holland guys. So yeah, these are pretty much some of the main essentials. Here are some other things that I like to take with me. Now I'm going down to Mississippi, so I don't think this is going to be much of a challenge because right now it's like 60 degrees there, which it's funny because I talked to some of the locals and they're like, "Oh, it's a little chilly down here." I'm like, "Brother, I'm surrounded by snow right now. If it was 60 degrees outside, I'd have shorts and a tank top on." Um, so I don't really have to worry too much about this, but on my last movie I did, and I wasn't fucking around. Prepare for the elements, guys. Prepare for them motherfucking elements because there is nothing worse than trying to direct a movie while you're fucking freezing to death, and you just can't stay warm. So again, and it goes the same with rain gear. If you know it's gonna rain, oh my god, like I'm drenched. There's no other worse feeling than like when you're wearing jeans. I got one for you. You're wearing jeans, it's raining, and everybody's cuffs of their pants sometimes will sink down a little bit before they're under their shoe. And the rainwater actually rides up the back of the leg of your jeans, and you can like see it on everyone's jeans. You know what I'm talking about? You
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that like wetness at the bottom of the jeans? Ugh, I fucking hate that. So stay dry, stay warm. And if it's not raining out, that doesn't mean that you can't have your rain gear just in your car or your assistant should be hanging on to it. Always bring like even when I go to Mississippi, because it might get chilly at night. Always bring extra shit. Like bring a hoodie, bring an extra sweatshirt, bring a pair of pants. This sounds funny and it sounds like I'm a parent when I say this, but like, because guess what, guys? Even if you don't need it, someone else might. Like your right hand person might be like, "Oh, I'm chilly," and you could be like, "Oh, I got an extra sweatshirt in my car if you want it." Like that's happened. That scenario has happened to me 100 times because I'm always the guy who like has extra shit, and it's a good feeling. I know this sounds corny, but like if I know that one of my crew people is freezing and I have an extra jacket in my car, I love being able to say like, "Hey, I got an extra jacket." And knowing that like they're not going to be uncomfortable now because I got some extra shit. It's a good feeling.
No, that's great. I mean, our buddy makes me think of our buddy David Gear and his lady Chelsea Vale are in Connecticut filming something these days that they've been sending us behind the scenes pictures that they're cold and everybody's
Whew.
working through the temperatures and the uh, the ice and everything. So
Yeah, it's funny. I that's also Glenn Ciano's movie, the movie I was talking about earlier, and I went to visit set the other day because Glenn Ciano is one of my best friends in the world. He's like a big brother. We've kind of came up in the industry. Well, he's got a little bit of time on me, but I should say the day that I came up in the industry, like literally my first day in the business, I met Glenn, and he had already been working in the business for 10 years or so, maybe a little longer. So, love Glenn, always support everything he's doing. He's directing this movie, and I went and visited set. They're doing overnights, and let me tell you, man, I prepared. I put my little long johns on. I was ready to go. After about an hour of being out in the cold, I said to myself, "Man, you guys are tough because like I am freezing right now, and I've only been out here for an hour, and you guys got to be out here for 12 hours in this shit." So that was one of those situations when, yeah, man, I was even thinking, like that night I was just going to visit, so I didn't bring all the gimmicks that I normally do, like extra socks and an extra shirt and all that stuff. But I said to myself, man, if I was in this, I better be prepared. So yeah, you gotta prepare for the elements because you just never know, and you can't be creative if you're fucking cold or if you're wet or if you're grouchy because of the weather. It ain't gonna be good for you. It's literally going to affect your storytelling abilities.
yeah, and that's why stores like Ocean State Job Lot that's still in business, and the former Benny's RIP things like that, where you can get a lot of like you can get like an 8 pack of like thick socks for, $12 or something like that. Those type of stores are nice to have around, because if you can go there as director or producer and pick up like a pack of socks for $12, and then maybe your cast members, their shoes have worn into their socks, and their socks are wet and now they're miserable. If you can hand those out, you know that might be very helpful. Gets things
Yeah, it's
accomplished a lot better.
good to have supplies. Scott says I collect mainly Star Wars and Marvel figures. Stuff I grew up on brings back happy childhood memories a lot like you, brother. You are singing my songs right there because I am the same way. Love Star Wars, love wrestling figures. Marvel figures, I collected some as a kid. I think they're awesome. I just haven't gotten too into the newer ones, but yeah, man, that's right in my wheelhouse. Scott says, I assume you take lots of breaks on set. If so, anything you take on set for your breaks, or are you fully focused on work? Well, Scott, that's a great segue into my next kind of topic and the topic that we're going to round the show out on. Let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about something a little taboo. Let's talk about drugs. I
Okay.
think it's about time we have a little drug conversation here.
Oh boy, yeah.
All right. So, guys, here's the deal with drugs. In my youth, I did a lot of drugs. And I'll come out here and say that. I wasn't a junkie. I'm not shooting up needles in my arms, but marijuana was a very, very big part of my creative diet. And I would smoke constantly, morning, noon, and night. You'd very rarely see me without a blunt in my hand. Uh, and I thought that that was the way. I really did. And even on my first handful of movies, really up until fairly recently, I would be one of those guys that would be at lunch like clockwork. I'd go and smoke a J in my car to my face, and I would get really high and relax, and it would calm me down. And it would, listen, guys, I'm not making this up. Like we all know, marijuana helps with things like anxiety. It helps curb some of those anxious feelings. So I would be so fucking high every day on set, and it got to be a little embarrassing because what would happen is, I'd smell like a goddamn Fish concert every
Right.
time I came out of my car for lunch. And it started to make me feel a little weird. People would look at me a little funny. Certain actors would look at me a little funny. And as my career moved on and I started working with kind of bigger name actors, I got a little more like, okay, maybe I shouldn't reek like weed in front of Don Johnson, or, in front of Megan Fox, or in front of whatever. Maybe I should just handle this a little differently.
Yeah.
So, to answer the question, weed used to be a very big part of my process, and it actually got inside my head as Curly Headed Red. Shout out to Curly Headed Red. What's up, Jacqueline? Hooray for cannabis! Yeah, listen, it's great. It really is. Like, I'm not going to lie. In the development process, marijuana is very key if you want to be creative. It certainly can open up certain parts of your brain that maybe you're not able to access when you're sober. However, it became a crutch for me. And I thought for many years that I needed to be on the weed in order to direct a movie properly. Meaning, like, oh, if I'm not high, I won't be a good filmmaker. And then something changed. And well, it was kind of how a lot of things change. It was over a girl. There was a girl that I was actually kind of interested in, and she wasn't into the weed. And she was like, "You're gonna, smoking weed on set." And I was kind of like, "Oh, that is a little. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe if I want to kind of grow, I need to mature a little bit." So a few movies ago, I stopped smoking weed on set. I wouldn't be smoking weed at lunch anymore, and at lunch, I would kind of just I'd, have my protein shake, and then ready for this, I would just close my eyes and lay down, and I would go to sleep for about 20 minutes or so and just chill. And you know what, guys? I was sober as a judge, and I found that my brain was moving so much fucking faster, so that the critical thinking, we'd finish a shot and I'd be like, all right, boom, let's move the camera over to the corner here. Let's get it up on a jib. We're going to do a high wide of everything. Then after that, we're going to bring it down. We're going to move into close ups. And then we're going to get a slow push in, finish our scene. Like my brain was suddenly firing on all, cylinders. Whereas again, when I was high as a kite all day long, I might have had some really great ideas, but was my brain moving quickly as it needs to be? And what do we talk about all the time? Like time is money on set. So if my brain isn't moving as quickly as humanly possible, my whole crew now is being affected because I'm running a little bit slower. So recently, I'm happy to say the last three movies that I made, I've said goodbye to the weed. Now, listen, guys, that doesn't mean I don't still smoke. I mean, as soon as we wrap, my assistant, that's a throw that on the list of essentials.
Right.
That's part of the post work, uh, wind it down, talk about the day, watch some footage. Yeah, then you smoke your weed. So my advice to any filmmakers out there, because I would imagine most of the young bucks coming up probably puff every now and then. My advice would be this: smoke your weed when you're developing. Smoke your weed in the creative process of writing. That's fine. You're not bothering anyone. But when you get to set, don't be high. Make sure your brain's working as quickly as it humanly can. Don't stink like weed. If anything, just don't like, you just don't want to stink like weed. Because here's the deal. Weed's legal in my state, and you can smoke it like you're drinking a beer. But the reality is weed still does have this slightly negative perception with older people, with the square community. So the reality is if you bang like weed and you come up with to somebody and start chatting with them, and they don't necessarily agree with weed and that's not their thing and they still think it's kind of a bad thing to do, you've lost them already. Like they're just going to smell that weed on your person and they're automatically going to like disrespect you a little bit. Now I know what you're thinking. Some people will, well, fuck them. Fuck them if they don't like me for stinking like weed. Yeah, that's one attitude to take. But remember, at the end of the day here, we're trying to manipulate everyone for our global takeover. So you can't say fuck everyone. You got to start thinking about how other people think and react to your behavior. And yeah, maybe you might not agree with it, but we're trying to win here. So save the weed for after rap. That's kind of
Well,
what I'm
that's
coming to.
s- some great lessons in there, Tommy. And to that hypothetical person that might, say, why should I quit or, fuck them or whatever, I'd say, would you want your airplane pilot strung out on weed, high on weed when he's flying the plane? And when you're making a film, man, you got to have all your facilities there. And I think you're right. Just the stigma or just the representation, if you're coming out of the break or coming out of your vehicle and you have that aroma, so to speak, first of all, it lingers for a long time. I would imagine there's also people that maybe are allergic to even the smell. And so
I don't know about that.
you're kind of dividing people, well, if they're allergic or just don't
I think
like it, then
dividing, yeah, I think you said it with dividing people. Again, that's a wonderful way to put it, Mike. You're going to end up dividing people because, like I said, like most people in 2024 are like, weed is like coffee. It's like, who gives a shit? But like I said, man, there's still that faction of people that are like, very much against it. So we're gonna, as they say, err on the side of caution, and just be clear-minded. And here's the thing for you all: this is the old stoner in me talking. Hey man, like if you don't smoke all day and then you like do smoke after work, you're gonna like get wicked high. So it's gonna be like so worth it when you finally do, bro.
you sound like there used to be a character on MTV called Randy of the Redwood. You should look that up because it just sounded like old school MTV Randy of the Redwood.
That's just my old school, like,
Yeah, yeah,
weed head voice, man. I
right.
don't even know where it comes from. All right, Charlie, let's see. Scott says CBD has been a great alternative recently. Helps with my anxiety personally. I've never really dabbled with the CBD. I'll have to give that a shot because I'm anxious as a bastard, Scott. Um, okay. Charlie Short Films and the Dutch are notorious for regarding cannabis. Really? That's interesting because I used to smoke vanilla Dutches when I would roll blunts. It's a cigar called the Dutch Master. Um, so great you are honest about it, Tommy. Respect. Well, I appreciate that, Charlie. The reality is, like, I know there's some 20-something-year-old filmmaker out there, hopefully, that's watching this show that's, smoking a bong right now. And, maybe he'll say, like, all right, I'm going to rip this bong one more time. But when I get on set, I'm gonna wait till I get home to rip it again. And that's okay.
Yeah, these are harder lessons. I mean, these lessons took you years to figure out, and it is a thing, Tommy. I mean, people have different ways of approaching life. And the older we get, the more we realize just because we have a certain set of qualities or values or habits or rituals, it's certainly not going to apply to 99% of the population. So you just kind of have to go out and find things out that, hey, if I do this, it might be great for me, but maybe it's not great for my crew. And you adapt.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. Again, guys, I used to be a little bit of a pirate. I used to smoke cigarettes like a fiend. I used to be smoking probably at least a pack a day on a movie set. I quit that a long time ago. I've replaced it with one of these vapes, which probably isn't the fucking best for me, but at least I can, again, I smoke this vape, I hit it a couple times, and then I'm not blowing dangerous nicotine smoke in a bunch of people's faces. I don't stink like a
Right.
fucking ashtray. One of the funniest things about quitting smoking, and I'm sure some of our and action folks can relate to this, you don't realize how much you stink until you quit, and then you walk by a person who is a smoker, and you're like, "Oof, I fucking smelled like that whole time." Yeah, you did. So, listen, and life's a funny thing. Nothing's absolute. I'm not saying that, there probably would come a time when I find myself in a really anxious situation and I need to rip a quick cigarette. And I see a grip on a ladder and I'm freaking out. I'm like, brother, give me a cigarette. I need one right now. Listen, you're going to have stumbles in life. You're going to fall. You're going to go off the wagon, on the wagon. Just try your best to avoid all of those stumbling blocks and just focus on the movie because like I said, those 12 hours go by fast and you need every fucking minute thinking about the movie. You don't need to worry about when you're going to smoke your next joint or when you're going to have a cigarette break or any of that shit. Try to just put that all out of your mind. Really, part of being a great filmmaker is also, just having the stamina to get through a 12 to 14-hour day. Like that's a big part of it. So, guys, we're gonna wind things down. I got a bunch of shit to do before I get going. I will say this, my Patreon channel is out. So now you can look up Tom DiNucci on Patreon. I'll be promoting a little bit more of that, but we're gonna have a lot of fun things. Right now, my fall film camp, which I put on back in October. It was a great seminar where we went over acting, writing, directing, producing. The whole shebang is now available on a 3-hour video. You can download it. I want to say it's, with the fees and everything, because there are some Patreon fees on top of what I charge. It's like 14.50. I think it's like 14.50, something like that. It's under 20 bucks, guys. It's 3 hours worth of filmmaking, entertainment, and knowledge, things that I've learned over the course of my however many year career. And it's available now, so you can get it on Patreon. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It's very important to get them subscribers up there. I'm rapidly approaching 2,500 subscribers. So help me get that final push. Also, guys, uh, any of you that share the show, it means the world to me. So drop it on your timeline, put it up on your story. If you enjoy the show, if you had fun with Mikey and I today, it doesn't cost a thing for you to tell a pal about us, put us on to somebody. Maybe, like I said, make a post and let the world know that you spent 52 minutes and 39 seconds with me and Mike on this wonderful snowy day, and I had a lot of fun talking with you all. Like I said, this is we weren't going to do a show this week, to be honest with you. Like I'm traveling in a couple days, and I'm going to be leaving, and I'm packing up my whole house, and not my whole house, but I'm packing up to leave, uh, and the truth is, I just really love doing this. Mike and I last night we got on the phone. We're like, yeah, fuck it, let's get on there because we enjoy it. So we enjoy doing it. We hope you enjoy listening to it, and we can't wait to see you next time. I'm not sure what we're gonna do about next week. I start shooting in approximately, uh, you know, 7 or 8 days. So we're going to kind of, as they say in the wrestling business, we're going to call it in the ring and just kind of see what happens. But Mike and I are committed to putting out some shows, and this is another little piece of information. This movie I'm about to go shoot all overnights. So my average night is
Wow.
going to be 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. or 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. I'll be turning into an owl over the next handful of weeks. But
Wow.
that's actually for us kind of a good thing because we like to do the show at 11. Maybe there's a chance that I can hop on with y'all and put out a few shows while I'm gone. So I hope I get to do that. I hope I get to see you guys. But if not, just know that I'm doing what I love and I will return.
Okay. Well, Tommy, that's great. And now I'm even more curious, but we'll save that for a post Mississippi episode of. I'm very curious why you have to do all overnights. And just as we were talking today, Tommy, another subtopic came up for another episode: how to deal with difficult personalities. Because we got into that a little bit about halfway through the show, but I think that's I
Yeah,
think we
we
had two new topics we could add for down the line today.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, bud, you just gave me a third one. So here are the three fun topics for the future. Number one, how to win over your crew as the director. Number two, how to deal with not so great people and maybe win their asses over and get them to like you. Wouldn't that be something? And number three, we could do a whole show on shooting overnights and like how to prepare yourself for that craziness. Because let's face it, man, it's a big flip. You're suddenly like the hardest part about shooting overnights is sleeping during the day. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, like you almost like your body takes some time to get used to that. So I don't want to give away too many of my secrets on that whole process yet, but yeah, a whole show on the Nighthawks of filmmaking, the overnight shoots. That would be kind of fun. So thank you so much, guys. Scott says great episode. We appreciate that, brother. Charlie Short Films, always good to see you. We love having you here. Cam, thank you so much. Happy trails, she says. I'm going down south. Stephen E says, yeah, hit that like button for us. It goes a long way. Really appreciate it, guys. Can't wait to see you next time on And Action. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye now.